This episode of the MSP podcast is brought to you by Big Tex Outdoors. Everything you could possibly need for your firearm. If he doesn't have it, you probably don't need it. And PHLster holsters. Can't do a sub 5-second fast drill? We'll get a PHLster holster. If you still can't, well, at least you know it's not the holster's fault. And primary and secondary, the definitive source for the armed professional and the responsible citizen. Quit your bitching about all the rules and get better. Hey guys, welcome back to the Modern Samurai Project podcast, the nickname the Self-Reliant podcast, nickname the Get Better podcast. Why do I call it that instead of like the 2A, whatever the hell you want to say? Because guys, it's more than just about guns, man. It's about fitness, it's about nutrition, it's about medical, it's about making yourself that complete combatant because no one's coming to save you, right? So today, super stoked to have my buddy Adam Garnier. Had to do the French announcement for my man here. Out here, he's out from California. I'm gonna let him, per my standard course. I don't like to do introductions. I'm gonna let him intercourse.
Whoa!
Wow,
It's got awkward.
Yeah, well, you're French. It's okay. Anyway, I'm gonna let him introduce himself. So, bro, tell us a little bit about you and why the hell you think I had you on my podcast.
I am terribly excited that you're you're probably the only Frenchman that you like is me, because
yes.
I might be battle ready.
Dude, what do I say? What do I say in my class? All right, guys, this is a for the people that's listening to the podcast. It's kind of hard to think, but high hands up high and high thoracic defense. And then I go to like a surrender position. I'm like, look, dude, this is American. This is a Parisian citizen. Anyway, sorry.
But it's funny, and everybody, when you make that relationship, tying in the funnies into the class, people get it. So
yep.
So Scott said, been in law enforcement for the last 15 years. Pretty much went high school, college cop. I work for an agency in Southern California. We're pretty big. We got like 800 people. I'm currently assigned as a detective at one of our larger police stations that we have a contract city for, and I have a collateral assignment to our team where I serve as a operator / long rifle marksman. So the bad word sniper, which is cool. I feel pretty lucky to be there. Lifelong martial artist. And just constantly trying to get myself better. So why you have had me on after all of the people you have had on baffles me. So I'm humble. I'm incredibly stoked. I hope that whatever we talk about can touch somebody and help them to get better too. So it's kind of
hell
cool.
Yeah, bro. Hell yeah. So here are the two things we're going to talk about, right? I think that not to have a cliche, but knowledge is power, right? And it has always been said in my other line of work, which is, business, mortgage related, that as California goes, so does the rest of the country. So I kind of want to talk to you about the back and forth, what's going on with some of the gun laws in California with the high capacity magazine. And then once we segue out of that, I want to kind of talk to you about your own personal development, because I will tell you that now that I'm training more and more police, right, there is a range of improvement, enthusiasm to get better. And as police departments across the country are literally, and I don't think I'm overstating the word, racing to learn and get certified in red dots on pistols, I think it'll do a lot of good for people to understand your motivations and to get better with that platform, and which you are of a lot of, maybe 5-10 guys I can name off the top of my head on my fingers. You are one of the guys that has impressed me the most in your desire to get better overall. And not only with just the red dot pistol platform. So we'll go into all that. So first of all, let's talk about the back and forth with the laws in California with the high capacity magazine, right? So can you kind of give us an overview of kind of where that started, what happened a couple of weeks ago, and what is the current state of affairs in the state.
Yeah, sure, sure. So, obviously these are my opinions of how I read the case law. It doesn't, fall on my department at all. I got to get the little disclaimer out of the way that
Yeah.
obviously it's not speaking on behalf of them. But so, interestingly enough, I got to go back a little bit, but one of my first guns was a revolver. Actually, my first gun was a revolver. My family was not into guns. Somehow I am like the weird that got into this line of work. So I didn't really ever realize about the high capacity magazines. And by the time I was old enough to understand that, I pretty much graduated college and went straight into being a cop. So unlike the rest of the civilians, we have an exemption because of our job. So the laws have pretty much said that law enforcement can have high capacity magazines. So I've never really worried about that too much from a personal standpoint. But what is interesting is traveling around the country and going to other states and kind of how they view us. So obviously those high capacity laws were enacted well before my knowledge of them. And in my line of work, in my experience, I've pretty much been dealing with the 10-round magazines. About halfway through my career, some of the laws changed. The assault weapons ban kind of sunsetted, and guys were allowed all throughout California, guys, gals, public citizens, and law enforcement were allowed to buy more weapons, but still the magazine never changed. The biggest gripe about that I see is the guys that are trying to train, and if we're working together, I get to reload once every forever. And they have to reload like it's a 1911, even if they're shooting a rifle, because they only get the 8 rounds. Now, don't get me wrong, I love 1911s. I have a slew of them, but I can see their frustration. I don't, to be honest, I don't know the original intent. It probably had to deal somewhere with the gang problem that California experienced and trying to combat some of the crime. But there's take away the tools that people want or the tools that people to defend themselves. You're only limiting those people, the people that actually want to have it legally, in my opinion.
Yeah.
In my experience, in all of my investigations, from patrol to plainclothes to suit and tie type of stuff, I've never arrested somebody who didn't have a lengthy criminal history for possessing a large capacity magazine. It once came up in investigations, usually, whether it be with victims or, you go like a type of call or just like a whatever the wide range of investigations could be. They've never spun into dealing with a person who has large capacity magazines that doesn't already have some type of criminal record, usually within, dealing with firearms or something that would prohibit them from possessing it in the first place. So a 1-round magazine would be illegal to possess versus
so here's the thing I don't understand about the California law and the high capacity magazines. And correct me if I'm wrong, right? Because I'm on the other side of the country and I just see where. But didn't Governor Brown just sign into a law that if a person is committing a felony, that you cannot add on to that felony with more punitive charges just because they used a gun? Am I wrong about that? I thought I heard something like that.
There are special enhancements for commission of a crime with a gun. If it has been signed in, it may have been fought, and it may be hovering around somewhere in the courts, kind of like this high capacity magazine law is right now. In which, if it got to stay, then
I had read that. I know for a fact that I had read that. So I was just confused on, like, for example, here in Virginia, right? Our knife laws are about as clear as mud, right?
Yeah.
No daggers. What the fuck is a dagger? I mean, could someone give me like what is a dagger? Yeah, I don't know what the difference between a dagger and a knife is, and blah blah blah. And every time I talk to, my LE friends, is like, oh, bro, it's just an add-on. If you already done fucked up, it's an add-on if you got this stuff, right? So
Yep.
that's how I always kind of viewed it in California laws, dude. If you done messed up already and you got a high capacity magazines, we're gonna throw another 5 years on top of your sentence. And but then this other law got signed that if you use a gun in the of the enactment of a felony, it wasn't going to be added on. And the reason by is that the prison system is so overpopulated in California. And if you're saying that's not true, well, you know what? I mean, it's just I'm completely confused at this point in time. You know what I mean? So
as a state, we voted for some things to help decrease the prison population.
mm-hmm.
And that had to deal with the special enhancements. If you commit a crime to whatever certain degree and you did A, B, and C within that crime, then you used to get a special enhancement. Maybe now you wouldn't. Or you committed a crime that the prison time has been reduced, but you did A, B, and C. Well, now you go back on old sentencing style, and you are going to get an additional set of time. With your normal law-abiding citizens, we don't see that. This is with your hardened criminals, or it could be your hardened criminals, but also with your your gang member types, your people who are basically into that nefarious lifestyle.
Right. Roger that. So can you describe from what your understanding what the current state is right now with for the rest of us in free America, standard capacity magazines?
So,
what happened in the recent?
Yeah, so somewhere along the line, the number of 10 was chosen as a limit for the magazine capacity for people in California. Rifle, pistol, period, 10. So just a couple of weeks ago, one of the federal judges, Judge Benitez, I hope I'm not saying his name wrong or the wrong
I think
person.
that's right. No, Benitez.
He heard a case. I read the brief. The brief was eloquently written and the first 3 or 4 events described people whose homes were being broken into and were trying to defend themselves with a handgun, who were also trying to call police to notify police that. And one of the main arguments for that is if they only have a limited capacity of rounds, and I think one of the cases had multiple attackers, how were they expected to adequately defend themselves under a stressful situation while trying to notify law enforcement to come and basically rescue them, and God knows where that person is or how long it might take police to get to them. So the argument, one of the major arguments that stood out to me was that reasonable people who are and their lives and their against a violent crime should be allowed to possess a higher capacity magazine. And the way Judge Benitez interpreted that was, okay, good to go. We're saying that the penal code for that particular law is no good anymore, and we're gonna allow people to possess high capacity magazines. So for that next week, pretty much instantly, every major distributor of firearms magazines, every major firearms distributor, begin to tell you how many emails I got. California is now free. You guys get as many magazines as you want.
Yeah.
The memes that were coming through were absolutely hilarious. And then the Department of Justice and the State Attorney General.
Can we clarify? It's the California Department of Justice, not the federal Department of Justice, right?
Right. Okay. So in turn, I would assume they prepared a brief that said this decision will cause some irreparable damage to the state, and they did information to Judge Benitez order asking for a stay of his decision so that they could appeal it to a higher court, which in our case will be the Ninth Circuit Court.
But didn't the Ninth Circuit kick it back to him, saying we don't find any fault in his decision? That's what I thought.
If it was in the last couple of days, and
maybe I'm getting things out of order. I apologize to you and the audience.
No worries. So what Judge Benitez said is basically, hey, if you bought high capacity magazines within that 5-day window that I said, okay, you can have them. You're good to go. You can have them. You can possess them. But you no longer can possess them until a higher court reviews my decision and says, yes, you can have them, or no, you can't. So I know a couple times the really big case that DC versus came about. I know they're arguing that, and basically trying to. I know what the go-to people are trying to do is basically loosen up some of the restrictions that we have. I mean, other than some friends that I have in New York, I think we have quite possibly the strictest gun laws in the nation. So.
Well, pretty much. I mean, all the other states with the 10-round capacity, except for you in New York, have loopholes in there. For example,
True.
Maryland is that you cannot buy higher capacity than 10 magazines in the state of Maryland. Well, all you do is hop on over to Virginia, buy
Right.
them, and
Yep.
and you're good to go. But I think the interesting thing is just the ambiguity of the law with the grandfather, blah blah blah. Because again, it's funny. I was talking to my wife Bev, and anymore I'm in a couple of states teaching when I go out to departments, and lately it's a lot of Texas, but surprisingly it's a lot of California. And
Yep.
I always ask to be clear about what the deal is, right? And they're like, bro,
Yeah.
we don't know.
I would probably have to crack open the big book and look in the penal code to try to figure it out myself. I mean, it's difficult. In the class we just took, because they had a planned trip out here,
Yeah.
and they said, "Hey, we heard you guys got some bad law, or however they asked me, can we bring our guns there?" And at first, I was like, "Man, you guys are shooting a lot of rounds before you reload, so probably not if you're more than 10 rounds." And then they were asking how they had to carry it because there's a specific way outlined in the penal code you have to carry it. And then I realized that they had compensators on their gun, which by California law makes it an assault weapon. So that's interesting.
Well, oh, the compensators?
Yeah, because it
Yeah.
has a
But there's
barrel.
something no, so there's something else with that. That's very interesting, right? I think in the penal code what they were saying is that it a compensator on a pistol with a specific twist, right?
Oh,
That yeah, oh yeah, seriously, this is what they said. And one of the officers in the class verified it, that if it is a standard twist, and I can't remember what the screw twist is on there, then it is a compensator.
huh.
But there's a certain company that I'm not going to outline because this podcast is blowing up and legislator might see it. So I'm not going
I'm
to
gonna
say
be
it.
on there throwing out
But
bad
yeah,
case law.
but there's a certain company that has always gotten bashed because they have a uh, non-common screw twist.
Huh.
And now that compensator is no longer a compensator. It falls in the AOW thing.
So here, from the investor standpoint or the patrol cop standpoint, all right, I put my patrol cop hat on for a minute. Say for whatever reason we come in contact with each other in a law enforcement capacity, and I, for whatever reason, realize you have a firearm that's maybe even being carried lawfully, right?
Yeah.
I never carried a micrometer on me to determine the thread width or gauge or whatever it may be
Yeah.
to see that. So where do I get the right as a law enforcement officer to seize your property without having to first develop probable cause to take it in the first place? So I think that's where a lot of law enforcement is having problems with some of the laws is sometimes you put us in a predicament, not
Yeah.
you personally, sometimes we get put in a predicament where how do we know?
Yeah. You
There,
don't know if it's this one or what the twist is because it's covered by. But let me ask you a question though. How many LE do you know in your state, your department, that would even know what a compensator is on a pistol?
I would like to say more than I would like to say.
Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. Fair enough. Fair enough.
There's a good gun in California. My experience is limited to California because I've lived here my whole life so far. There's a lot of guys, and there's a lot of I got issued a gun type of people.
Yeah.
And the one that they have. So some people would know, some people wouldn't. I looked into putting a compensator on one of my pistols, and because of the law, I said and try to go there because I'm too confused with it, and I don't want to get myself in trouble.
Yeah.
So it's ambiguous, and I'd rather not risk a career on it, and just work harder to get better at
That's right.
gun.
Or you'll get in trouble. It's like, hey, I don't know what that is. It looks like a barrel shroud. You're screwed. That's probably
Right.
the whole barrel shroud thing. What the hell is a barrel shroud? Do you know what barrel shroud is?
It's the slightest idea. No. A thing.
It's like a
barrel?
hood on a hood, or I don't know what that is. So, okay. So where do you see all this going? So it's going to go up to the 9th, who's already looked at it, pushed it back. They're going to re-review it, right? I mean, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts, and what are your cares as Cali Popo? Do you think it is a massive waste of taxpayer dollars to go through all this stuff, or not? Let me know. I'm not trying to load you up either way.
So we've had some interesting gun laws passed that allowed for less restrictions. We've also had some interesting gun laws passed that we thought gave us less restrictions, but then ultimately gave us more restrictions. I think this one's going to be an interesting one, and like you said, so goes California, so goes the rest of the world, or the United States.
Anyway. Yeah.
This one, honestly, this one could go either way. I'm hoping it goes to the first 5 days that Judge Benitez gave us, where we could purchase everything. Honestly, I don't know though, because the Ninth Circuit, sometimes they look at things differently, and we'll see. I mean, this one could go all the way to the Supreme Court and be another Heller case. A landmark case and rights for people who choose to own guns legally and thing with them.
Or the Supreme Court could punk out and just say these issues were answered in the Heller.
That would be very interesting. That would be very interesting in seeing how California would go back to it. And man, that'd be a wild ride.
Yeah, I actually met him, man. I met him at the DC Friends of the NRA dinner. Nice. And he actually came up to me. He's like, "Hey, you're the red dot dude." I'm like, "Yes, sir. My name's Scott Jelinski." Who are you? He's like, "I'm Heller, man." I'm like, "The Heller?" He's like, "Yeah, let's take a picture." Blam! I was like, "Oh, that's cool."
Man, Smith and Wesson put your name on a gun, man. You're pretty famous.
Yeah, man.
The problem now is, it's going to ride out the process, obviously, is the people who want to legally possess these things and want to use them for the right reasons, for training, for defense, for, whatever the legally prescribed reason is that they're doing it, is now they're bogged down by a pretty excessive amount of time, because unfortunately the court process, I can see this one going a couple of years before a final decision is made. Or so it could go tomorrow, and the Ninth Circuit says, no, Judge Benitez was right.
So is it currently in limbo? Like I was saying, every time I talk to Ellie out in California, and I'm like, "Hey, dude, what am I doing here?" And they're like, "Dude, we don't know. Just keep it locked up until you hit the range, until you hit the Popo range, right?"
Yep.
And I'm like, but so what is? So he said you could have these if it was in that 5 days, but if you can't, as a civilian out there, if you have, for example, a concealed carry from Orange County in your neck of the woods or something like that, right? You can't have that unless you can document that you bought it during these 5 days, or how does that work?
Yeah, and I don't even know that. When I read it, I didn't see the specificity that said you had to have bought it between April 1st and April 5th, I want to say.
Yeah, how do you prove that? How do you prove that?
You can show your insurance to a police officer on your phone. So maybe you have your receipt from the gun company you bought it from. You got your little Brownells receipt, or your whoever you bought it from. That would be. And so again, right? We go back to, how, as a law enforcement officer, am I to determine that there's probable cause to seize your property?
Right.
because there's a 5-day window now that you could. I mean, I'll tell because they're going to be newer magazines. It's not going to be the grandfathered magazines where they're older than hell and all beat, right?
Yeah.
But it puts us in an interesting position because now we have to try to determine this probable cause before we take what you may fully own. And an illegal seizure is one of the worst things we can do to a person, either by taking them or taking their property.
Right.
I mean, we got to do it right if we're going to take something, and then that's right.
Interesting stuff. All right, well, let's get away from all the doom gloom shit, right? And let's talk about an interesting factor that's going on in the LE world right now. One that I have been impacted greatly by, right? So it was said maybe a year, hell, it was said last year that, red dots on pistols are the future. Within the next 5 to 10 years, every gun will have the option or will automatically come with them, and it'll make an explosion into the law enforcement world, right? Well, the future is now, right? And I have been blessed by many invitations to different departments to get them spun up on how to employ the red dot on a pistol, right? You as a person that I know that you are a detective in a large agency, but you do a lot to help other shooters in your department. I don't know if that's official capacity or just the fact that you have an amazingly beautiful heart, my friend.
The latter. I'm not an FBI certified range master, so we do have the luxury from our administration where a couple of us who are on the team get to put our entire detective bay through training. It's like about every quarter, which is a lot more than what it used to be. And we throw a day of training together. So we'll run the range because obviously we have a little bit more training experience than what your normal line guy does. And then we'll just pull people aside that you see it when you teach. You see the guys that are hungry for the knowledge or the gals that are hungry for knowledge, and we'll just give them extra time. And sometimes it comes out of their pocket too, because we're like, hey, dude, I'll stay and train with you, but we can't go eat. You got to burn through the break, but we'll give you that extra. Or we'll meet dudes on the weekends, and we'll go unlock the range, and we'll take them out there, and we'll say, hey, let's do some work, or we'll meet at a range and give them the tutoring or the experience that we have. Because man, if you have knowledge and you keep it to yourself, that is not the way to be doing it, man. If you have something to help somebody else, you need to be giving that to somebody else. Because one, it's going to make you better because you're teaching it, and two, it's going to make them better. So.
Okay, so do you think you have that big beautiful heart because you're French, or I'm just kidding. I kill me. Anyway, moving on. All right, red dots on pistol, bro. Why is that shit important for LE?
So years and years and years, we had rifles, we had iron sights, and people couldn't hit much. We put red dots on them, and all of a sudden you got groups. Well, years and years and years of law enforcement, we have had pistols without iron or with iron sights, and you look at law enforcement hit rates, and law enforcement obviously is supposed to be the people, right? Because we get all these anti-shooting training. Hit rates are atrocious. It pains me to say that. So what did we do before that worked? Well, we put red dots on rifles. How is it different putting a red dot on a pistol? Well, so this goes into how you and I met. Is our SWAT captain came to myself and one other guy who was in one of your classes as well, and he basically came to us and said, "Hey, what do you guys think about red pistols?" And we said, "Haha, we just bought them, just because we wanted to, because we're gun geeks and that's our thing." And he said, "All right, find me something that I can pitch to sheriff to start this process." And reached out to some people, and they put me in touch with you. We spent a few hours on the phone, and I went, holy mackerel, I don't know nothing about this. I need to learn more. So we started doing some training on our own just to try to figure it out. We're kind of smart guys. We'll work it out, right? And then we went to your first class that I went to, and we started taking info back. And it applies not only to your beginning shooter, not only to your shooter who's in the middle of their career, to your shooter at the end of their career, and likely, either that advanced level shooter. It applies across the board. The biggest thing to me is you can shoot with both eyes open and you can see everything. I've been in more situations than I care to count where seeing things is the big picture, and pointing a gun at somebody and not being able to see the big picture is a problem. And if we can give somebody the tools to, the situation is going to dictate the gun's got to be out. If we can put that tool into somebody's hand and train them how to use it right, and trust that the equipment will work, trust that they can see the entire problem, and trust that they can deliver the appropriate force when it's needed with the appropriate tool, that I think everybody's confidence level is going to go up. I think their communication to the suspect is going to go up. And ultimately, I think it's going to be, when that lethal has to be applied, I think there's going to be a lot less stray bullets that are missing the target.
Or more importantly, the correct decision to act to save an officer's life and his teammates is appropriately done. Did you see that video out of Las Vegas Metro? But the dude with you haven't seen? Oh, you gotta
Vegas.
Yeah. What's that?
There's been quite a few shootings in Vegas recently.
But with the red dot pistol. With a red dot pistol.
No, I haven't.
So I'll go over briefly with the audience. Go ahead and look it up. So some kid, he is not a kid. I mean, probably 25. To me, that's a kid, right? He is robbing some community center, right? He's got a revolver, but a big ass like Smith and Wesson revolver that he got from his dad, and it's outside the waistband. Gets out, like a dumbass. He's all on video. Trips the alarm. Cops are waiting for him on the outside, and there's three of them. The guy on the inside, they're all like, get it, turn around, get on your knees. He does so, and then in the video, you just see the middle officer with a red dot just boom, burn him down. And at first, you're like, ooh, from the back. I don't know if I saw anything. And then they do the close-up video, right, of him, literally his hands on his revolver when the officer lets it go. And that type of extra information from being target focused is, again, not my lane, non-mil, non-LE, but a fact is a fact. More information to make an appropriately accurate shot at the speed and distance required is what it's about, right? So
yeah, absolutely. Because you get in that high stress situation, and maybe it's your first high stress situation, or maybe you've been in a lot, right? But automatically you get put in that high stress situation, your body starts dumping all kinds of different chemicals into you, right? So your ears may shut down, or your eyes may shut down, or you can't talk at an appropriate volume level, or your body starts to shake, or anything like that, right? So let's add something. Let's give you a tool that's going to help you make appropriate decisions. So say your eyes start to shut down, and now we give you a red dot, and you don't have to focus on 2 or 3 different things depending on, whether you're looking at front sight person, trying to make a decision. Now you put a dot on a person that needs to have a dot put on them in the first place. You can see everything in that window and below. Now your eyes are going to open up, and maybe that helps you make that decision, critical incident that is appropriate for the suspect, for the public, for you, for the entire process as it rides out. The reps, man, they're a beautiful thing, and I'm hoping we're going in that right direction, and given our administration the right information they need to make the decision to either allow it as an issued type of gun, or allow it as an optional duty type of gun. And then the thing that we need to think about that too is the training that goes along with it.
Yeah.
Over from iron sights to a red dot. I mean, it's taken me, a class with you, and I feel like I'm proficient with it, to the point where if we had to do it every day, and even then getting the dry fire, making sure that I'm finding that dot constantly, and keep tuning myself up with how to do it.
Yeah, but haven't you even said you took some? And guys, I don't want this to be like self-advertising things, but it's my podcast. Fuck it. So, but haven't you said you've taken some of the things that you've learned in my class or some of my concepts and applied it to any shooter, and it's helped them?
Yeah, one of the things I noticed is it's something about the presentation that I was doing wrong. Maybe it's something about I was taught to present the gun that was happening. But now, for whatever reason, with irons, I can almost shoot both eyes open all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird until I get back to service, and then I gotta 15 yards and out. I gotta start changing the eyes. But we've taken a lot of those tips back. And we tell our team when we're going to be on a vacation, going to go to a class, because there's obviously things that we could bring back, and we were able to bring that back, and we taught a lot of the guys, particular things. One of my favorite ones recently we did just a few trainings ago is the recoil test.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
the recoil test and see where that gun would go, or see using the kinesia teach about driving the gun with your right hand across your body, because that's what your hand wants to do, and then looking at guys and being able to explain to them, hey, everything on the target's on your left hand side of the target. Why do you think that is? And they look at you and I don't know. And you say, okay, well, here's why.
Anticipation, bro.
That would be the lazy answer, right?
Yep,
So
yep.
we always want to give people the best information. So we teach them this. We teach them why the thing is happening. We teach them how to correct it. We show them the corrective measures. And then you just get to stand behind them and watch a light bulb go off, and it's the most beautiful thing in the world. And then they go, holy cow, this is what you're saying. It's not a line of crap. You're actually telling me good info.
Yep.
And that makes my heart happy.
Yep, 100%. So your department hasn't gone full acceptance, right? Is it just specialty teams, detective, SWAT, blah blah blah, that can do dots? Well, what's your current department's policy on it?
So right now, nothing. Right now, we're still in the iron sight guns. Two other of my partners on the team have red dots. During training days, we can bring them out and let the other guys kind of run through a qual with them or do some shooting with them. We just did a night vision training as part of our SWAT standards, and you can't shoot iron sights with night vision very well, if at all. But you put the dot out there, and it's a beautiful thing.
It's cheating. It's cheating.
It's not cheating if you're not trying.
Yeah, exactly. It's not cheating, not trying, and a fair gunfight is a stupid gunfight.
Yeah. But we go back to the vision thing. Well, can you see your sight doing wonky things with your head, trying to lift your night vision up to be able to underneath it, or you're using an inappropriate light to, white light in a situation that may silhouette all your partners. Now we give you a dot, and now you can shoot well with the appropriate tools. So we just use it strictly on our training days. We'll people hit us up here and there, like, hey, run me through a course with it, or what have you. Trying to provide our administration with the best information out there for the pros and cons of the dot, how we would potentially train people to transition from an iron sight gun to a dot gun, obviously with the backup iron sights, and we're trying to feed them the information to help them make the best decision for the department in the long run. And hopefully we're giving them the right info, and hopefully we're doing the right thing to allow them to make us and what could be the worst thing that could ever happen in somebody's career or their life is in getting into a shooting. And that's a big hurdle to cross. There's a lot of a lot of liability that goes into that, and a lot of making sure that we're doing the right thing by the community and partners. So hopefully the administration's liking what we're giving them, and we can make a change. If not issued, then maybe an optional carry, because we can carry optional duty guns, maybe not what the department gives us, but something different.
Yep.
And go that route. So we'll see.
Yep. Awesome. So let's talk a little bit about your own personal growth and why you personally are trying to get better. I mean, like we talked about before, I see a lot of police, and I'm generally, but then again, they're coming to my class, right? So they know they're not there to dick around. They're coming to get to new knowledge, and at least they're going to work hard and things of that nature. But some of the other, LE I see out there, God bless them, respect everything they do, man. They're putting themselves out there every single day, and the average citizen has no idea what that means. But not all police are gun guys or want to actually get better with your gun. So that's the question I have for you. Why are you so, and enthused isn't even the right. Why are you so passionate about getting better? You know what I mean? To the point, bro, you're driven. You wanted to go for that black belt patch, and you were in it to win it. And every time I see you, every rep, every course of fire that we did, you were working hard to get better and better. Why are you like that, and what lesson can that be learned to other police?
Man, I'm gonna have to put on my repelling gear because we might go down a rabbit hole on this one.
Dude, bro, do it, man. You know what the great thing
So-
about having your own podcast is? Ain't no
Yours.
time limit, cuz.
You can edit. You can edit.
Yeah.
So here's one of the biggest issues. We carry a gun for a living. Go to is a gunfight. Could potentially every call you go to, there's a gun, right? If the circumstances so happen and I have to make a decision if I'm going to press a trigger and deliver rounds to somebody, did I do it appropriately? Did I do it to the best of my ability? Did I do it properly? That's a big burden. And if the people of this state have sworn me in as a law enforcement officer, they deserve the best. Not minimum standards, not hey, I shoot a wall course. The way I feel about that is they deserve the absolute best. I'm not constantly trying to get better, and not just in shooting. It could be in how fast I can get a warrant done so that we can go take back a victim's property, or whatever you have. If I'm not doing my absolute, the people who pay for me to live in a house with a nice yard and provide for my family, if I'm not doing the best that I can, why am I doing it? I gotta earn that badge every single day, and that's the way I look at it, right? So when I go to classes or when I do this, some of them are on the department dime, that's cool. I went to my marksman sniper for the evil word class. The department paid for was a minimum standard that I had to meet for the department.
Mm-hmm.
I pushed as hard as I possibly could because that's how I'm going to learn. And that's how I'm going to figure out. That's the time to try and kind of, I mean, you kept telling me, "Hey, dude, you gotta cage that cougar," right? Because sometimes I want to ride at the cougar, and I want to see how fast I can do it because then I know where my limits are.
Yep.
And then you reel it in and you dial it in and you get yourself precise and you get yourself to where it is, and then now you can go faster or go further with your training. So some of them, like your class, I paid for out of pocket because it's something that I'm passionate about. It's something I want to do. I got to spend some time with the family away from work, and it doesn't matter if I'm paying for it or not paying for it. It's push as hard as you can go. One, because I consider you a mentor, and AJ as well. You guys have invested a lot of time in me outside of the class. And I say AJ, it's AJ Zito. He deserves to be mentioned because that guy, man, he's something special.
He's beautiful. He's a beautiful man. Beautiful man.
And I have other mentors in my life that have given me their knowledge and given me invested a lot of personal time in me and into the craft of law enforcement and helped shape the way of what it's become. And I'm of the mindset if I'm not doing my absolute best to be the best that I can and train to get there and learn through my failures and be self-critical and learn to self-diagnose, I'm failing you guys. And it's not a negative failing, like we're going to fuck things up. That is what it is, right? But when I do that, how can I learn from it? How can I get better? The people that the people that pay for me to do this job, they deserve that. My wife, my baby, they deserve that. They deserve to see me come home every day.
Yep.
My wife, and God bless her soul, she is the most supportive person in the world that allows me to be gone away from home and deal with our little infant, all the time. She allows me to train because she understands I'm a shit. I seek out the problems because I don't want communities to live in. I don't want bad people to be running the streets, running amok. But I train in martial arts gives me the time that it takes to do that. It's a big burden on the family because I'm away for a long period of time when I do that. She allows me to go to these schools, and completely supports it. So I owe the baby, that same dedication is every day I got to come home. Every day I got to be good to go. I got to be good to, throw the baby and, make her laugh or run around the backyard chasing her because she likes to run now. Support my wife, be there and love her. And that's, those are, if I'm not training to be the best I could and just being, hey, I'm gonna go eat a donut, drink a coffee, sit around under the shade and not myself back craft, what am I doing?
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. And you know what? Let's take a second to give a shout out to the ladies in this industry that back up you guys. I mean, obviously, I would be nowhere without my wife, Beverly. You just said how your wife supports you. There's ladies out there, Jill Blowers, Julie Reston, Mary Pressberg. The list goes on and on and on, where none of us trainers or none of us, barrel-chested freedom fighters like yourself, we wouldn't be anywhere without the women supporting us. Nowhere, zero. So they deserve a shout out as well, and I appreciate you bringing that up, man.
And in the same token, they don't deserve some of the shit that we bring home, and I think that's part of what goes into the martial arts. I mean, we talk about making yourself better. That goes in the martial arts. You clown on me all the time for running as much, but don't bring that crap home to them. Tell them about the good days. Let them know that you might be in a bad mood, but man, they don't deserve to be crapped on like that. So,
bro, I got the perfect solution, man. I got the perfect. Bev start doing jujitsu, right? So we go to different schools and stuff because she likes her professor, I like my professor. We get home, she drills her standing guillotines on me for fucking 30 hours and makes me choke. She loves it.
Yeah.
She loves it, man. She loves it.
That's good, and you don't even have the.
All right, so hey, we lost your Skype doing the censorship shit, or so I don't know what it was. So last thing you were saying is about Bev choking me, and you were making disparaging comments about the size of my neck or something. What were you saying?
So, yeah, you're doing it right because there's no bruising, but that's pretty rad that you guys have that connection. It's that's cool. I mean,
it is rad. It is rad, man. It's like a whole new dimension to our marriage and shit.
And one of the big reasons why I run is because my wife loves it. I don't. She does, and it helps us bond because we can, grab a stroller, take the baby, take the dog, and go.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, bro.
You have that similar thing. So.
All right, man. So we're at the end portion here, known as the get it off your chest. You can talk about whatever you want, the industry, LE, California, training, whatever you want. What do people need to start doing to get better? What do people need to stop doing to get better? You can talk about anything you want. Don't talk about your neighbors. Nobody cares about your neighbors.
Yeah, so what's nice is I'm really lucky. I have awesome neighbors. They're totally cool. We look out for each other.
Awesome.
It's rare that that's ever happened, but it is cool. So what do people need to do to start getting better? Is I think the first thing, when I realized this, it made a massive difference in everything that I learned. For the ego, be open-minded to the fact that there are better people out there than you, and that you don't know it all. If you can get over that, and maybe my problem was I was in my 20s, so I was just a raging hormonal idiot.
Mm-hmm.
It allows you to have you go to class, or learn something from somebody. It could be cooking, or it could be shooting. Somebody's got that level of expertise that's better than you. Listen to what they have to say. It may not necessarily apply, or you that conflicts with something else that you've learned, but get rid of the ego, and just learn, do it. do, if you see a problem with it, find an appropriate way to address the person who's teaching you. If it's in a class setting, maybe the appropriate time to disagree with the teacher isn't right in front of everybody, but maybe outside, because maybe you misunderstood something, or maybe they just misexplained something, or they explained something in a way that didn't catch, and that could go back to the rest of the class where, maybe I've done it as an instructor, said, hey, somebody approached me at the break, they didn't understand this. I realized I didn't explain it right. Cool. I've had that happen in a ton of other classes with instructors teaching us this kind of thing. And just seek instruction. If you get stagnant in life, what's your purpose? Have a purpose. Do something. I have a decent sized yard for being a track hound, and I saw something that I wanted to do, and my father-in-law has run orchards his entire life. I said, hey man, teach me how to plant some fruit. Teach me how to plant apples. And he has the expertise and the knowledge, and I learned from him to make we have natural food that we can eat. It helps stay healthy. And luckily, one of the beautiful things about California is we have weather to grow food all year round. Mm-hmm. So we only one season, and it's pretty much warm. And don't, if you work for, and this is going to apply to everybody, but I'm gonna liken to the law enforcement side. If you work for a department, don't expect the department to make you better. The department will give you the minimum standards of what's necessary, and hopefully they'll give you a little bit more. We're lucky we're in an agency that gives you a lot. You're not actively seeking knowledge, in my opinion, your brain's just turning to mush, because you need to teach yourself how to get better. In the business world, I have a very limited experience pretty much when I was putting myself through college, but what are you doing to make your business better? Mm-hmm. Don't expect your boss to be the only person that makes your business better. What are you doing to help make that company a better work at, or a better place to buy things? And so same thing goes with law enforcement. Seek out that instruction, man. If you're not willing to pay the money, I'm sure your agency will pitch for you to go somewhere. Everybody's got training budgets. If you want to learn something new in a business world, I'm sure that the business world has better things. And push yourself, man. What are you doing to get better? There's times where I'll sit down and I'm reviewing a case. What, this one needs a couple search warrants. Last time it took me about 2 hours to write a 10-page search warrant. What if I do it in an hour and a half? How much more efficient can I be and get more stuff done for the next case? And help that person. So in everything you do, challenge yourself. I mean, to me, that's where it's fun. It's mentally entertaining, is to challenge yourself, to get yourself to get better. It's the the weightlifters, one more rep, or when you're doing a martial art, one more minute on the pads, or you're rolling around, doing one more rep of this. Try to make yourself better. I mean, what do you got to lose? Experience. And those are huge. And I think that's why you and I get along, is we're constantly pushing ourselves to get, and also finding people who will hold us accountable. And that's a big one too, is find mentors that will hold you accountable, that if you're not being the best you can, or not striving to get better, find those people who will put you in your place and say, hey, what did you do today to earn today? What did you do?
Yep.
And I got a lot of friends that are like that. The guys in the office, we're all pretty competitive dudes. We're all like that. The guys on the team, we're all pretty competitive dudes like that. And we constantly push ourselves. And I think that's how you are always going to make yourself better at every facet of your life. And your family, man, 'cause always be good to your family. That's the last big one that I got, is come home to every day. You spend the bulk of your time with, and if you gotta be good to them, because they're the ones that love you. So
hell yeah, man. Absolutely. 100%. Good shit. So usually at this segment, I ask people, where can people find you? But you don't care, because you're full-time popo, right? And you're not running any side business and stuff. Although I hear you make like a mean salsa or something like that, or what do you do?
I am French, and because I'm French, I absolutely love to cook. Shout out to my dad. When I realized I was going away to college, I went, oh crap, I can cook noodles and that's about it. We need to learn how to cook. And man, that's a passion, absolute passion. And wife will look at me and say, holy crap, this is amazing. And I always ask her and she always gives me the same answer. I say, what's wrong with it that I can do better? You know, so yeah, love to cook. You guys got to come out. Well, I know Bev likes to be around here. So.
There you go, dude. That would be awesome. All right, man. So we're gonna move on. Time for me to pay the bills. So hey guys, if you want to come out and train with me, check out modernsamuraiproject.com. It'll take you to a link out to my Shopify stuff. I know, Shopify, Canada, blah blah blah. I'm transitioning over. Relax, internet. If you are so for the open enrollment class, if you are a police department or federal law enforcement agency and you want to get spun up on the dot, doing a lot of good work out there, that's why my classes have exploded. Would love to come out and help you guys run that gun. I promise you will not hear anything about mindset and situational awareness. All I'm going to teach you is how to find that dot on the draw and during recoil and get better and faster and more accurate with it. I promise. Hey guys, do me a favor, check it out. If you're like some of this stuff that I'm putting out there, these awesome guests like Adam and stuff, do me a favor, like, subscribe, and then go down to the notes, man, and check out my sponsors. Lots of awesome discounts down there to make your training easier and more affordable so that we can all get better. But regardless of all that, be good, stay safe, get training.